Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Ghosts of a Summer Evening. Joseph Baldwin Poetry. Welcome to the second installment of the Joe Baldwin Poetry Slam, presented right here in your Human Meme. And all of these poems may be read online at bolesblogs.com. Oh, and please also go to humanmeme.com and search for Joseph Baldwin to read more about the great author and my friend in part 1 of this series called Idle in a Willie's Night, Joseph Baldwin Poetry. Joe Baldwin was a lucky man. He had a stunning and smart wife and a brilliantly beautiful and immensely talented daughter, both named Molly. And when he invited me over to his home one Sunday afternoon for homemade carrot cake and tea, I understood what it meant to be loved and to be content, and to live right and straight with the world as it spun. Branchline Local, 1923. Published October 23, 1997. In that part of Tennessee, the train rocked like a vessel on a storm-tossed ocean. Outside, red clay banks rose and fell away with sinking surprise. Green meadows humped up in great muffin-like swells, and then fell off to nothing. The horizon was going up and down. Trees walked along the ridges. The child saw them as dark, muttering giants, keeping a menacing pace with the tall windows, seeming to march with the train for a while, then only reluctantly falling behind and away. The child, rocked and lulled, heard the French harp whistle up ahead, and stared at the custard-colored ceiling, from which hung clusters of tulip star lamps, and wondered at the rich, edible color and the sweet lights glowing in daytime. Wondered long until life paused and he slept, cradled in good, the train. Awakened in Virginia by this warning, don't mention the train to Grandma. Grandmother, bedridden, now 15 years, victim of a train wreck in Kentucky, a collision, and of the dark business, so the story went, of company representatives picking their way among the wreckage, getting release forms signed by the dazed and injured people. She, one of the cheated. The family grudge told over and over, but resisted by the child. Too soon in life to learn of evil lurking in beauty. Not for the child to know of the copperhead coiled beneath flowers, waiting to fang his mother's hand reaching for eggs in the stolen nest. Also, he shut his ears against his cousin's warnings about stings waiting among blackberry bushes. These were gashes in a world which should be sure and whole. For Grandma, propped up in her bed, he sang about Jesus, and recited his poem and was kissed, earned back his homeward journey in the train. Trusting, surrendered to the green seats swaying, hearing the voices of wheels and rail joints, and the complaints of bonded wood and iron working upon each other in the inmost secret coach parts like the creaking of oaken ships' timbers. The pauses in life, the ongoing lulls of journeys, not the arrivals. These he would love lifelong. He knew this in secret, clutched it close against reproof. Cloud Picture, published October 23, 1997. Images, images, gull wings, cutting scarlet, sun-fractured, bitten into new shapes. On fire, glowing fire, are edges of things. Because of sun and thunder-colored undersides, sulk. Wreckage of a storm which harbored in itself dissentings. Most savage mean, but innocent now of any harm. Its violence changed to rue. The look of embers. Geese and the Boy, published October 23, 1997. A sound like bicycle horns coming at us, rooftop level, rapid and almost scary. The 6-year-old next door, stomping his trampoline and soaring again and again, cries to his brother, "Geese! Geese! Here?" And again, without pause in his jumping, himself airborne almost as much as the birds. "Geese! Here?" And I was glad I heard both boy and geese. He is the one who, when 3 years old, put the family's miniature Doberman Pinscher into the refrigerator as a kind of experiment. The dog survived. And he's the one I've seen doing a sort of pantomime on the way to school, making only a bit more progress forward than to one side or other of the walk, straying to look at things, to handle them and test them, to threaten them, to pose with them, all the while voicing a wordless music. Him I have seen breaking a branch off a bush and making it his foil for fencing with other branches. And once I saw him picking up the little yellow flags marking the path of the buried natural gas line and using them as darts for tossing at tree trunks. I shall hope to hear geese again, and soon after the boy, not yet immune to amazement, who, at home or edging schoolward, dances his own movie. Creatures Interface, published October 23, 1997. Raccoons live in the storm sewer. This I believe, since seeing a great rat rump near the entrance, the whole beast almost swallowed by that concrete mouth. Suddenly a clown face flashed at me over a shoulder. One look, then gone. Not a rat, after all. I was reassured, for I had been all ice with the thought, if the rats around here are this big, I'm moving. Apprehension gone, comfort given by a raccoon. Life in a sewer? Or do they live in trees and only hunt in sewers? What is the way of raccoons in a city, confronting asphalt, concrete, human noise, and detritus? Ears nature-tuned to owls. Here, assaulted by sirens and horns. Which of us, then, is the intruder? And what did that one, for instance, think of the sudden clown face I showed him? Ghosts of a Summer Evening. Published October 23, 1997. He stepped out into the warm, caressing night, and smiles, remembering music and slim girls in bright, flimsy dresses. Smiling, sweat gleaming on their foreheads. And then he came near fainting with dismay. It was a judgment on his life, he feared, that such a night, beloved of his youth, should distress him now. Warm, warm they had been, 800 miles away, and 50 years ago, and careless of all but love songs, blooming youthful bodies, and hope. Fans placed here and there gave breaths of cooling. Moments were enough. Then back to the giddy heat and swirl of dance. Linkings raised hopes higher. Hopes of what? Life to be grasped. Each other grasped. Promises, only implied, but promises, for all of that in touch, in glance. Promises of bright futures, financially bright, of course, but also immediate promise given, unspoken, then taken back, as soon as given. The embrace, frankly sexual, but by tacit agreement, not that at all, only social custom, though shared sweat-drenched clothes of each. And weren't mothers looking on, while scantily clothed daughters clung to lanky swains, to see that all was decent, stayed within control? Years later, why dismay, distress? Oh, yes, the memory of shame at being an imposter there. Imposter? Yes, but in what sense? Why, simply that all such affairs, cotillions, balls, formals, where the bright eye and light of foot displayed themselves discreetly and by custom, but nonetheless displayed themselves as eligible, had ever been a showing of wares, and also that one knew it was understood, accepting such hospitality and exchanging embraces in the formal figures of the dance, meant one shared in this eligibility, having something to offer, and wasn't poor then, nor poor in prospects. Ah, yes, the cruelty of the social system, offering such delights, but only at a price. Better not to have come at all, as if disguised as one of them, and able, like them, to repay the piper for the tune. Hence the shameful distress, in spite of knowledge that the sweating girls of long ago, in long bright dresses, were now grandmothers, that or dead, and that the dance, the glitter and romance, was all a form of commerce. Dismay persisted. The shame of being poor, of having been poor, lasts all one's life. Also, the shame of having been a pretender lasts. But oh, the glowing girls, the music and the dance. Enchantment, then its own excuse. Downpour. Originally published October 23, 1997. Raindrops are exploding into brief crystal crowns on the glittering asphalt outside my window. Thunder is laying down a barrage. Dullness and sloth in nature are being defeated. Stale air and old thoughts washed clean, all life renewed. Even my own. I shall stir, soon as the storm has passed, and stride about outside, ingesting the new world, blithe, remembering how prodigal was the scattering of crowns. Window, a portion of the world. October 23, 1997. I am saying goodbye now to the scene outside the window. Certain trees, a familiar tilt of land. Travelers through called it flat country. But we who lived here knew that it leans this way and that by turns. Witness, during the ice season, some intersections needed sand, else you couldn't get started if the red light halted your car upgrade. Well, it was nothing to see, our place, even with its ups and downs. Travelers went through here on their way to the mountains, forests, canyons, lakes, geysers, and eventually the ocean. Only stopping among us for gas and food. People who lived here only came for the job. The place was nothing much, and always open to the wind. You wouldn't choose it. No one would hymn this place, not ungrudgingly hymn it. Instead, some hymn their forebears for having endured it and brought it under cultivation. And this place I'm telling goodbye, with nowhere else in particular to go. Where would I go if I'd not walked or worked there? They tell of prison librarians who, having built the collection and having found a function, regret being paroled. And we who worked in ampler prisons, on tasks we hardly chose at will, but fitted into, and had our orbits. Home to work, home to church, home to the movies, to the stadium, to Chinese food, in short, to the limits of this wider prison. Saw the travelers going through, and saw it with their eyes, and knew it. It was nothing much. But what our keepers in this prison never figured out, never counted on, if ever they thought of us who were only functions, people you'd never hear about, people who could be laid off in slack seasons and never missed. What they never counted on was this. We could love. Love certain familiar trees, the slant of land. Buildings kept in poor repair, but still inhabitable. Where our workbenches were, and where our tools were kept. In the slack season, they didn't see us come down to the old buildings, use the keys they didn't take back from us, open the doors, and sit at the workbenches, picking up the old tools one at a time, and looking at them as if they were strange, feeling their heft in the hand, just in case. What? they might be used again. They forgot we were human and had to love something. And now, even that scene is outside my window. And I'm telling it goodbye. I didn't choose this either. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.